My name's Travis. To start out, did you know that the global market for plant-based substitutes and plant-based meat alternatives is projected to increase to about $86 billion by 2030, and that has rise from $4.6 billion in 2018. And I got this information from the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg Association Hospital, and it was published on August 20th, 2020, as of recent, with multiple authors. And in today's speech, I will discuss with you what is in a plant-based meat alternative and what a plant-based meat diet would look like, and the drawbacks and benefits. And then finally, I will go over a few major companies and food production companies that are making the move and the shift over into the plant-based uh, meat environment. All right. Let's see here. All right, to begin, let's start off with two of the proteins that are mainly used in all of the plant-based meat patties. We have the seitan, and we have soybeans, which is basically tofu. So with seitan, that is a popular plant-based meat, and it's basically a wheat protein that's made by rinsing out all the starch. So if you guys have ever heard of gluten before, that's essentially what it is. So it's like made from wheat flavoring and dough, and that way it takes on texture that's similar to pork, chicken, and beef, and it still has the same look and feel as well. And it has a very meaty texture. That's why it's very popular for all these companies like Beyond Burger and the Impossible Burger. It can be grilled, sauteed, or fried. When ground, it can also be used for sausages and burgers, which is mainly the most popular way to prepare this type of plant-based meat alternative. And for the second one, the soybeans and tofu, what's really popular about this one is it has 9 of the essential amino acids that our body can't produce. This is based on Jay Weinstein's Chef's Guide to Plant-Based Dieting and Eating, which is published in 2020. What's great about soybean tofu as well is a lot more people are familiar with it than seitan, and it's a better way to get into plant-based eating by just like starting by drinking soy milk essentially. And then that's probably the easiest way that's not as scary for you to hop in, because seitan, it kind of sounds weird and not a lot of people know what it sounds like. And the majority of all the plant-based products, these are the two that are most used, and that's why like you'll see these on the back of all the food products. You usually see that say they are plant-based as well. And with these two plant-based protein sources, if you use this, you can create a lot of dishes that taste good as long as you know how to season. If you don't know how to season them, then I would suggest you try to learn how to cook, because then it's gonna taste really, really bad. I do not recommend it. Next, I'm gonna discuss the drawbacks and the benefits of eating plant-based meat alternatives and plant-based diet, because you can't have one without the other. First, the drawbacks is it's still not as good, not as healthy for you as eating whole vegetables like carrots or leafy greens and things like that. And like that, and then they're still not the same. And then also, it's when they make the plant-based meat alternatives, it's removing the complex carbohydrates, which are still required in your diet that you're not getting. And if you, at the end of the day, it's still not really any better than eating an actual beef burger. So that is the drawbacks first. Next, I'm gonna move on to the benefits of it. If habitat loss, agricultural, and let's say, animal welfare are pushing you from meat-based living, these foods are a great leap forward. Also, one of the main things which everyone loves a lot is no animals are ever harmed in producing any of these plant-based meat alternatives. And then the final point is that the cost is way less. You don't need as much land, you don't need as much water, there's not as much requirements for the agricultural resources that get put in as it is to produce meat-based products. And then finally, I'm just gonna go over a little key point. All of the major companies that produce our foods, which is, for instance, I'm sure you guys have heard of Tyson Foods and ConAgra. These are the people who make our frozen chicken nuggets. They make our frozen meat patties, burger patties. All these people, they're making a huge major shift due to high customer demand and consumer demand to make better tasting and more delicious plant-based alternatives for everyone, since there's so many competitors entering the market space and they still want to stay on top. And of course they know they've had you hooked for all this time. They're not gonna not jump on it to make more money, of course, essentially. But in summary, nowadays it's easier than ever to consume less animal products. And of course, when you look at it scientifically and agriculturally, it may help the environment a little more, but there's a lot of work that goes into it. For me, what I think is important is just that we have the alternative wherever we go to be able to eat a plant-based meat burger or a plant-based patty. So at the end of this speech, who knows, maybe you'll be eating Impossible Burger from Burger King soon, maybe you won't. But as long as you have an option, I think that's the best thing. And before you do any of this, please consult your doctor or physician before changing your diet or nutrient daily intake.